Rocks. 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 Rocks everywhere. Hello and welcome back to Lantrier Homestead. I'm going to show you a quick and simple fencing hack. If you need to do any fencing with dirt like ours that is filled with rock. We recently had this new garden area tilled up. I've got about 1/3 of the fencing done, and I'm going to show you what I do to get this to work with very rocky dirt. The first thing I'll tell you is about the materials that I need in order to get this done. I use 16-foot by 50-inch tall cattle panels, and I also use 1/2-inch rebar. I got the 1/2-inch rebar in 20-foot sections. I cut them in half to transport them home, and now I'm going to cut them in half again. When I cut these pieces down, I do something very specific when I cut them, and that is how I make it work with the rocky dirt. When I cut them in half, I cut roughly at about a 45-degree angle in the middle. And what that does is when I drive that post, it drives it in at a point, and it allows it to push through that rocky hard dirt a lot better than just a flat bottom post would go through. So we'll be cutting at about 60 inches, which is 5 feet. Should cut these just about right in half. They're not perfectly 10 feet, but this is going to get close enough. I'm going to just use a cutoff wheel. I have tried with the Sawzall and a metal blade in the past, and it'll work. But if you have access to a grinder with a cutoff wheel, it makes things a lot easier. So like I said, we'll cut it at about a 45, and that'll give us a point on 2 pieces here to drive in the dirt for a fence post. Okay, and there you have it. There is that nice clean point that we have from cutting with that grinder. Be careful after you cut it. It is going to be hot for a minute on those very ends there. The biggest challenge so far has been getting these rebar pieces to stay straight as I hammer them in. So before I go too deep, I'll just check what I've got. If I need to, I can pull it back out and start over. That's what I'm going to do here. Guess it would help to put it on the end with the hole. That's pretty close. So now what I'll do is weave that cattle panel over top of this piece of rebar. There you have it. That's all I do. Now it's not going to look that good right now because I still have to put more pieces of rebar in to support the weight of this cattle panel. Right now I am doing them every 8 feet. I'm also going through, once I've got the whole panel up, and I'm just zip tying the ends together here to keep them from doing this. So I think that helps a lot. It's really simple. I may actually come through later with some wire and tie it up because I think it'll last longer than the zip ties would. So now that I'm going to go to my middle section, it's a little bit harder to drive the rebar when you've got the cattle panel already in place. But I have found that if you just take a small hammer, if you can't get your post hole slammer to fit over it, at least with my dirt, it's been working out pretty well. So that I don't have to use that fence post slammer. Okay, so what I do here is I'm just going to start by coming through the top of the cattle panel. And then after that, I'm gonna have to do a little finagling here, but down at the bottom, if I get it just right, I can push this post, rebar post right through, start to work it back down, and it will fall right where I want it to, in between the two gaps. And there it goes, just like that. So now I can just push on it, just slide down, and then at this point is where we'll go ahead and get that hammer and try to get it set in the dirt. I'm just going to try to line this fence up nice and straight with the rest of the fencing. Because once you get that post in there, it is a little difficult to move it. So that looks pretty good there. We'll just start driving it now. That's it. We've got the middle post in and weaved in between the cattle panel. We've got our end post that we started with. We've got this really close to this other panel. Like I said, I'll come and tie this up to keep it together. But that's it. That's all I do. Okay, and that's it. That is my simple hack to building a fence if you're dealing with hard dirt or dirt with rock. I hope this helps you. We're always aiming to put up content to make life easier on your homestead. If you like what you've seen and you'd like to see more, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much for joining us again today on the homestead. All right, here's a little bonus hack for you. I don't have an actual gate yet, so I found this old piece of galvanized pipe and I cut it to the length that I needed, and I slid this piece of cattle panel over just like I have been doing with the rebar. And you've got a gate.